presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
They're competitors. They'll want to put the O on.
Three. Got it.
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone.
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Jordan Brenner, in for Joey Mack for a little while as he tends to family matters, but the new father will be with us later on in the show. It's going to be a football-heavy show, and what else would we do? What are we, 10 days away from kickoff? We're getting close. We got all sorts of football coming your way. In about 10 minutes, the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Moseley, will give his thoughts on fall camp. Joey after that. And then some great interviews today. We're going to start with Drew Mehringer, the tight ends coach at the University of Oregon, one of the many young coaches who have done a great job resonating with his players this year. Mehringer to start later on in the show. This one's fresh from today. The linebacker Justin Flowe. Man, he's excited to be healthy this season. He feels like he's done some great things under Tosh Lupoy and Dan Lanning. Let's, though, start before Rob Moseley joins us with the tight ends coach at the University of Oregon, Drew Mehringer.
A couple of guys that weren't available to you in the spring, and Cam and Pat, and also not a lot of game film to go off of for either one of those guys just because of injuries over the years. So what have they each been able to bring to the table for you here this fall?
I think that, both of the, obviously Cam's played a lot of football throughout his time here, and so he's brought a lot of veteran experience. And even for the guys that played here last year, it's nice to have some senior leadership in that room. Pat, I think it's just scratching the surface on what he can be. So he gets better and better every single week as he continues to develop into his role. And I think we're still trying to figure out exactly what those guys can and cannot be. You know what I mean? I think they're both going to help us a lot.
Does Cam kind of fill the traditional H spot a little bit better than the A per se, or?
Yeah, he's a bigger kid. You know what I mean? I think so. I think he's going to be a little bit better suited in that role, but as he dramatically improved as a route runner and a guy that can catch the ball, he's a really reliable hand. So we don't feel uncomfortable with him in either of those roles.
When a guy goes through as many injuries as he does, you kind of wonder if the burst and acceleration is still there. Have you kind of seen some of that come back from?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, you don't get out there and is he, Christian Gonzalez running, seemingly like 35 miles an hour across the field? No. But is he a guy that looks like he might as well be an offensive lineman? No. He's a guy that runs well. You worry about some of those guys, you think they're going to tiptoe around out there on the football field, and both those guys have come out and attacked it and run hard, and their speeds would not reflect what's happened to them in their past.
A couple scrimmages now, plus the spring game. How comfortable do you feel like you guys are in the offense now? How much further do you guys have to go before game time?
I think Dilly's done a great job with our unit, and I think the collection of coaches that he has working for him is really good, and I think the players have really, really bought into what we're doing. Have a pretty good idea of getting a feel for, hey, in this situation, this is what Dilly likes, and this matches our personnel and stuff like that. So I feel really good about where we're at, from my standpoint.
What's it been like working with Dillingham this year and just kind of getting used to how he works, the ins and outs of that relationship?
So Dilly is super smart, really goofy, but a great human being, a great leader in our room, very selfless, very humble, very willing to take new ideas, very willing to listen to the way that people have done it other places, but is not a pushover in the sense that it's like, okay, at the end of the day, this is how we're going to do it. Very organized, very efficient, and does a really, really good job as the offensive coordinator, and is a great person to work for. So,
what's kind of the target number you want from a availability perspective, game in, game out, of guys for your position?
A number of like of physical players.
Guys you want to play a game?
That's a great question. I don't know. Like, let's say that we're going to play a team and we plan on like running the ball. I'd love to be in 14 personnel. That'd be selfish. How great does that sound? But like it kind of just depends on what the overall game plan is going to look like. So would Lee like to play a few different guys? Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to give guys different opportunities and different roles and stuff like that within the game plan, but we don't necessarily have a target specific number that we're looking for.
Terrence is a guy who's put on a good amount of weight in a short period of time. Do you have a particular target in mind and body comp in mind for him to fit a certain mold of particularly at the A position?
So it's interesting, we were talking about body comps as a coaching staff, right? And it's like, hey, I need to lose like a certain amount of weight, you know what I mean? But really at the end of the day, right, you really I'm looking for like my own side, like, do my pants fit, type thing. And it's kind of when we look at those guys, like where are his speeds? Does he look like he's running well? You know what I mean? So everybody's going to be a little bit different. So as they gain weight, we kind of see how does it look? Maybe they've gained weight and they've created more power and more strength, right? Wilson Love and those guys in the weight room. And so as guys have put on weight or lost weight, right, we just kind of measure to see what their performance looks like.
What's been the learning curve for Terrell coming over from defense?
I think that anytime when you flip sides of the ball, right, there's a massive change in philosophy and what you're overall trying to get done. Even blocking to tackling, right, is different. I know, you know what I mean? So he's come a long way in a very short amount of time.
With Mo and Terrence both, what did you want to see those guys improve on after spring ball? How do you think they kind of respectively got after that?
I think both of those guys, right, I think we wanted to, with guys that have played last year, we wanted to make sure that they were reliable and dependable, right? That obviously they knew what to do, get lined up, right? But could execute the offense in every facet that we ask them to do, right? And be guys that are reliable in the passing game. I don't know what their stats were or stuff like that last year, right? But we wanted to make sure that they were utilized in that aspect. And so so far they've done a really, really great job.
How was their blocking in space been? Because that's always a challenge for tight ends in general, particularly young guys. They had some highs at times last year, some lows at others. It happens.
Yeah.
But how is that improved?
I thought it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better. Is it easy? No. Nobody wants to go one-on-one in the middle of the open court right now, you know what I mean? So they've done a really, really good job of understanding space and leverage and stuff like that. So they've continuously improved there.
Back to Terrell, what are his strengths? I know Dan said he was maybe the fastest tight end, but other than that, I mean, had he played much tight end growing up? I mean, kind of what's his background?
So his head coach, James Brown, had played him at tight end in high school a little bit. So he had some familiarity with the position. Everybody, although it may have been called tight end at that, it may be a little bit different than the aspect of, or the facets in which we use the tight end. So I think he's learning a lot of different, like, does he know all the run game? Like, no, he didn't know a whole lot of the run game, nor should he, glorified big wide out at that point, you know what I mean? So he's learned a lot. He's been really, really good.
And athletically, he's obviously
he's fast. Yeah, he's real fast. Definitely the fastest guy in the room, I would think.
Sure, I know how the team meetings are being broken down by saying 4, but it's your room.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything specific, and have you been doing anything specific?
I think that that's a good question. Yes, I think that we talk about it. I don't think that I think we want to honor his memory by being great at the way that we approach our work, and we ask ourselves, is that reflective of what this unit should look like on film, right? Don't miss on the opportunities that you have. They're not here forever, right, wrong, or indifferent. And we talk about it. I think guys like Cam have done a really, really good job of keeping that in its rightful place. Obviously, nobody sits in his chair in our meeting room either. And so this has been a growing thing for us, as we've gone through it. But I think that our guys, our unit together, we've all supported each other. So it's been really cool.
How have you dealt with it, Drew? And because you're a young guy. Unfortunately, I don't think you've had to experience this before. So how have you personally dealt with it?
I lost a teammate when I was in college that was my age, but I think that nobody deals with any of these things very well. I think the thing is that you want to be steady and consistent for your players, so that their emotional highs and lows are not as high or as low, and they're kids at the end of the day, right? However, I know Cam has been here for a long time, but
older than you.
Yeah, it feels like it at times, right? at the end of the day, like, they need something that's going to stay consistent in their lives, that's going to remind them of the opportunities that they have and how to utilize those things and how to keep certain things in the right perspective. And so I just try to be that. And they've been there for me too. They say, "Hey, Coach, you doing good? You doing all right?" And it's like, it's a little tougher day than others, but so I'm very, very thankful for those kids. I couldn't imagine going through something like that without that group. That group from top to bottom is absolutely incredible as people. I know what they are in the field, but they're awesome people, and so people I'm extremely thankful and prayerful about.
Good stuff from the tight ends coach at the University of Oregon, Coach Mehringer, about how that group has come together. And, man, that's a deep position group, I think, entering the season. I think we'll see that group used a lot in Kenny Dillingham's offense this year. Every assistant coach interview is brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute, brought to you by them. It's a research center, excuse me. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. We'll get a break, come back. Rob Mosley is going to join us here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Joining us in the Country Financial Studio, the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. Rob, how are you today?
I feel like I'm playing in like the futures game.
And why is that?
There's some young talent surrounding me
we
in
got
the studio today.
Full house today, no doubt about it. Well, it feels like
it's like I'm the old timer back at the game for the Hall of Fame weekend or something. Well, Hall of Fame, that's probably a little generous.
Maybe
the
old
next wave
game
of big leaguers. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that okay with you? Or you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, your job is to be around young people a lot, wouldn't you say?
True.
And I'd say you keep it young, and you have kept it young for a while.
I do my best. The nice thing about getting old is there's a lot of nice things about it. Sure beats not getting old because then you're in a box on the ground. Not to get too dark. But,
you got dark.
When I was young, like I was immature. Now I have like a youthful vigor.
So you
and it's all the same. I haven't changed. Just because I'm old, people now just like, whatever, I guess that's who he is.
That's that guy.
Great.
Yeah, there's that old timer again. I know that's what I think.
Like a goofball.
Yeah. Well, that was an interesting start to this segment, I'd say.
You're welcome.
Busy time of year.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
about to enter what feels like a sprint. We are approaching kickoff. Oregon volleyball has their first matches this weekend. Oregon soccer's already kicked off.
Yes, and I missed the opener, but I was at game 2 for soccer. So, like, the sprint has begun.
Yeah, so that soccer game,
we'll see
which
you guys
we'll
in
get
July. Have a good year.
That soccer game I thought was extremely physical. I thought
Really
Oregon
physical. There were some football
up.
players there
really?
cheering on their fellow Ducks, and they were like, this is great. I got to come to more soccer games.
Yeah. I want to get into depth with that, but I think we do have to start with Oregon football. It's been a busy week of camp, and I think this week the athletic department's done a really good job shining a light on some of those skill position players that are going to be so integral for this offense. Tight ends, wide receivers in particular. I want to focus on those rooms, if we could, for a second. Tight end. We heard from Drew Mehringer just now on the show. It seems like the tight end room is still deep and could be a focal point of Coach Dillingham's offense this year.
Yeah, you probably heard Mehringer joke then. He hopes they can play 14 personnel, get 4 guys out on the field. He said that was a little selfish, if I'm remembering right, but wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, I mean, I think, the key there is health. And so some X factors there are guys like Pat Herbert and Cam McCormick that have had a hard time staying healthy the last couple of years, but when they have been available, have been impact guys. And we're seeing, I think, he said to Pat Herbert, he's just scratching the surface. And I think, I really felt like last week in particular, Patrick Herbert really started to feel comfortable, look comfortable, and start to show himself as a playmaker. So just great to see because, he's had kind of a raw deal the last couple of years with injuries. And, and then Cam McCormick, obviously, talk about getting a raw deal. He's had a bunch of raw deals. So, but yeah, with Ferguson and Mataval, you've got some young guys who are now can kind of build on the foundation they laid last year. Tillman, moving over from defense, ton of raw ability, but really guys to learn the position. And then, hanging over all of it is the fact that those guys are in meetings every day with Spencer Webb. They presumably are feeling that absence as acutely as anyone. And, everyone grieves in different ways. And then, perhaps some guys feel like they're able to kind of channel that in a way that they're not carrying it with them at all times, and they can effectively do that. And there might be some other guys that are having a harder time with that. You just never know. And so that that's a potential variable for those guys. Certainly this year, potentially for the rest of their lives. So just a lot going on with that group for sure.
Talk about a group that I think is equipped to deal with such a heavy tragedy. I mean, a young coach in that room, and Coach Mehringer, I think he really relates to his student athletes. I thought it was a really interesting quote yesterday when Coach Mehringer said, hey, the student athletes are checking on me as well, and they're going through it together. And Cam McCormick's been there forever and has 3 graduate degrees. And there really is that great mix in that room. And I mean this in the best way possible. I think they're going to channel it in the right way and try to honor Spencer Webb with their play on the field.
Well, I've talked about with a number of people, just, the thing, as much as anything, what stood out about him was just the passion, the exuberance that he brought to pretty much everything he did in his life. So I think those guys feel like if they can kind of channel some of that themselves and bring that to the field, that's a way of kind of honoring him. And that's there's no perfect way to navigate something like this, but if you feel like you can sort of find a way to honor his memory and kind of continue that forward, then that's great for those guys.
Talk about another skill position group, Junior Adams group, the wide receiver position. He says that everybody's practicing everywhere. Versatility is going to be a real factor in that room, and I think that that room, there are a lot of unknowns for that room because there's just so much talent. Only a certain number of players can get playing time, but I think Coach Adams is going to have a lot of decisions to make, which is what you want at that spot.
Yeah, it's that time of year when people look at depth charts and it's like, man, there's a lot of good running backs. I wonder if they can do stuff with multiple backs. Man, there's a lot of tight end depth, Coach Mehringer. Maybe we could get 4 tight ends on the field. Man, there's a lot of depth at receiver. But yeah, there is still only one football, and so and you can only do so much as an offense. So that's one of the things I think we're going to learn amongst many next week when we finally get to games is, okay, well, what do they determine is kind of the best use of personnel and take advantage of the different depth at the different positions and yeah, versatility can sure help. I mean, if you have somebody like a Seven McGee that's played running back and played receiver, then you can run different, what appear to be different personnel groupings but you don't have to substitute and you can play faster that way and all that. So, yeah, it's just one of many reasons that the first football game of the year is going to be just so fascinating.
On Chase Cota, who's part of that room, he's somebody who stood out to me in interviews and stood out to Coach Adams yesterday. He's mentioned how his leadership has really changed the dynamic in that room.
Yeah, I mean, given some of the losses of the guys last year, when you lose a Johnny Johnson and a Jalen Redd and guys have been around for so long, Troy Franklin and Dante Thornton are guys who, Chris Hudson kind of coming of age a little bit, but, maybe don't have that same kind of body of work, that same veteran confidence to kind of raise their voice as veterans. And so, yeah, I think Chase Cota just brings a whole different dynamic to that. And, I just can never see him without getting hung up on the fact that I was in college the same time his dad was. And it makes me feel old.
Well, that's about the only thing that makes you seem old.
Youthful. Thank you.
Youthful energy. Absolutely. Right. We heard from Justin Flowe today. You could see there was a swarm that went to Justin Flowe when he started to talk today. That's just kind of the star power that he exudes, the confidence that he has in those interviews.
He's usually doing the swarming.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
part of a gang tackle, but yeah, so he was on the other side of it. Yeah, I assumed there'd be a lot of interest. I have not listened to any of his comments. I did not eavesdrop on that yet. So I'll be watching for the Quack Video crew.
I think they're literally in the process of editing it.
Yeah,
best interns in the country.
Absolutely.
One of the things that he did say was how he feels super comfortable with Coach Lanning and Coach Lupoy, and he feels like under their scheme, he can be utilized in a pretty explosive way.
Yeah, well, that's taking advantage of his strength because he is such an aggressive, explosive player for sure. And then, if you compare him with, guys like Sewell and Bassa who, have a different kind of demeanor about them. The leadership that Noah Sewell has and the experience that he brings. And then, Jeff Boss has just got this such a mature kind of controlled presence about him. He cuts it loose when he plays, but, Justin Flowe just exudes like, Mike Bellotti used to use the phrase play 1 inch out of control. Justin Flowe exudes that 1 inch out of control mentality. And so again, you pair him with guys who might play that way, but it's not seeping from every single pore. You can get some nice compliments there too.
Wrapping up the football conversation, because I do want to talk about soccer and volleyball. I'll have one more question on the football front. So kickoff is fastly approaching, and Coach Lanning has said, hey, we're focused on what's happening inside our building, what's happening at training camp for the Ducks. Give fans an idea what that timeline is going to be like from now until kickoff, when that focus is going to flip to week 1 in Georgia.
I wish I could tell you, speak from a place of confidence on that. I'm not in every meeting they have. I'm not privy to every hour of their day. I think when you're at camp, you still feel like it's, practice. It feels like, a camp mentality. They're not playing the Georgia fight song over the PA or anything like that. So, I was joking with somebody yesterday. In some ways, I think talking to Seven McGee even for the Quack Minute, in some ways it feels like the game's right around the corner, and in some ways it still feels kind of way off in the distance because
it's a weird moment.
You're not in game week, So, but as Seven McGee said, for them it's just like, hey, you got to be where your feet are. You got to worry about getting the most out of the day you're at, and attack the next day when it gets here.
Absolutely. It does feel close and far away. I know it feels close for Triquez Bridges, who today said he's still trying to coordinate about 40 tickets for family and friends. That's going to be almost a home game for him. But you're going to be back next week. I imagine when we talk next week, we haven't confirmed, but I hope you're around. We're going to probably be focusing more on the Bulldogs than where the Ducks' feet are right now. Anyway, volleyball this weekend. First 2 matches up in Portland in the Rose City. Coach Ulmer's squad last year defined by what they were able to do defensively. It sounds like depending on what formation they go with this year, they could be more offensive, more defensive. One of the things that I can say for sure is that Coach Ulmer has options this season with a bunch of excellent returners and also bringing in some stud transfers as well.
Yeah, I think that'll be, once I finally get a chance to watch them, which it's going to be a couple weeks, I think. That'll be what I'm interested to see. And I'll be up in Portland coincidentally, but I'll be doing the Hood Coast this weekend, so I will not be able to watch those matches. But yeah, watching box scores to see who plays, how much do they play, who's getting a bunch of swings, because they do have a ton of options, and not watching them practice every day like I do with football. I don't really have a sense for kind of where they're going to go with that, so it's going to be intriguing to watch.
Start of soccer, you were able to get a look at Graham Abel's squad. You were at the match on Sunday, which I think Coach Abel admitted they were kind of fortunate to get out of there with a draw, and they did. They didn't lose at home. It was a 1-0-1 start to the season for Oregon soccer. What did you take away from that action at Pape Field?
I think there's been times the last couple of years when you said, thank heavens for Leah Freeman in goal. And,
Sunday was one of those times.
Sunday was absolutely one of those times. And, I think where this program wants to get is to the place where they're complimenting her better than they were able to Sunday. I feel like, there's times when they probably leaned on her too much in the past and wanted to come into this season, feeling like we're a more balanced team. We can put up more offense. We can relieve some of that pressure on her. And I'm sure as this season develops, we're going to see a lot of instances where that's the case, where she's not as busy, where she doesn't produce as many highlights, etc. Sunday was not that day, and it was thank heavens for Leah, and appreciate watching her play, because she's one of the best right now in the collegiate game, and it's just the based on the experience now she's garnered, the poise she plays with, the experience she brings to the field, just that demeanor, the confidence. It's fun to watch elite athletes compete at an elite level, and she's that match in, match out. Hopefully it doesn't always get a chance to show, because the ball's at the other end a lot more often, but you appreciate her. You sure appreciate her that when she's called upon, she steps up.
Yeah, program goes on the road. By the way, they were a great road team last year. They go to Gonzaga. They'll try and get that second win this weekend. Rob, always appreciate you joining us here on the show. Always appreciate your expertise.
Happy to do it.
And we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, let's get a break. Joey Mack is going to join us after this break. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Now's the time to visit your local Toyota dealer and find yourself in a stylish and fuel-saving RAV4, Corolla, or Camry. Or climb behind the wheel of the rugged Tundra, Tacoma, and more. Toyota's national sales event is on. Toyota, let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Back here on Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack's going to join us in a little bit. In a couple of minutes, we'll get to Justin Flowe, who talked with a swarm of media members today. Couple notes to hit on, though, before we get to Oregon's linebacker. Oregon men's basketball is currently on a trip to Canada playing some exhibition games, and their latest, well, was wildly successful. A 92-64 win over Carleton University, in which 6 different Ducks scored in double figures. Will Richardson, Quincy Curry, Nate Biddle, Keyshawn Bartholomew, Kalel Ware, and Luke War all checking in double figures. The leading scorer, how about the freshman Kalel Ware, scoring 16 points, 7 of 14 from the field. Nate Biddle, Coach Altman last week said how much he's improved this offseason. He checked in with 15 points and grabbed 5 boards. And the eye-popping stat for me from this basketball game, Luke War grabbed 14 rebounds, 5 of them on the offensive glass. By the way, I know for a fact how much Dana Altman appreciates offensive rebounding. Luke War doing a good job. A double-double for that young man. 10 points, 14 rebounds. The Ducks win that one 92-64. They'll be back in action tomorrow against McMaster, which honestly is a university that I'd never heard of. Some other news coming from the other basketball team. Coach Kelly Graves solidifying his assistant coaching staff, bringing in, I think, a high-profile assistant in Sadie Edwards from the New York Liberty. Spent time with Sabrina Ionescu last year as the operations manager for the New York Liberty. By the way, the Liberty's playoff run ended yesterday. They lost in Game 3 against the Chicago Sky. But Edwards joins the Ducks staff, and Kelly Graves has finalized a great staff, and hopefully Oregon women's basketball. There you see a picture of Edwards and Ionescu interacting there. That's pretty cool to see. Coach Edwards joining Coach Graves' staff. I think that's another tremendous hire. Justin Flowe talked to the media today. As soon as he walked out, well, media members wanted to hear what he had to say, and here's the interview with Oregon's linebacker.
After dealing with injuries a lot of last year, and you guys had spring, you got off-season now, how much fun are you really having being back out there fully healthy?
It feels so good to be back with my team and to be practicing every day. It's to be able to bring my energy and help my team just get better every day. And it helps me get better because, I get to be around my guys.
Did you feel 100% at the start of practice? Did you feel like you had some rust you had to knock off?
I've been feeling 100% from the start. I've just been taking the rehab like a pro, and it's been helping me in the long run. So, every day I've been feeling 100, and I feel good to go.
How does it feel being fully healthy again?
It's my dream, to play football, so it's a blessing to be able to still play football and still be around my guys, and I feel so healthy, and I feel 100%.
Did you have a moment this preseason where you're kind of like, okay, I'm back, like, this is all fine now?
I feel like once the pads got on and everything, we started getting to the hitting and stuff like that, that's when I knew that I was ready to go fully, because once I started really striking and I knew that I felt good, it was over from there. I felt good to go.
You mentioned taking the rehab a little bit more serious this time. Is there something you're doing a little bit different, like between previous injuries, like you're doing more serious now?
Just putting more time into it, just going harder. I found out that I need to go harder in the rehab part, so I just went harder in that and just been taking it like a pro. Drinking a lot of water, putting a lot of stuff in my body that is good for me, and that really helped me a lot.
Where do you think Dan and Taj have helped grow your game the most since coming in here?
I feel like Dan and Taj really brought that hard-nosed blitzing defense, really hard-nosed defense, and they just always have that energy. And that's what I love about, Dan and Tosh. They always have energy, and I love to bring energy, so it goes together good.
I know you're supposed to take this one day at a time, but how much do you think about that season opener every day?
I try to stay where my feet are. because, you know, it's going to come. Just got to be ready for it.
You dropped quite a bit of weight from where you were at last year. How has that felt out there? Do you feel as explosive kind of as you were?
It makes me feel like I still have the ability to, you know, to strike someone, but I feel like I'm faster. Like I'll get there quicker. So if the toss is going that way, I feel like I'm getting there way faster.
When did that process begin? When did you guys decide you were going to drop a little bit to kind of fill that position?
After last year, when I had to get some work on my foot, I just realized that having the lower weight was really going to benefit me in the long run.
So that was sort of a product of the injury, losing the weight?
Just staying low so I can be sideline to sideline and just be myself and not have to worry about being too heavy.
Justin, what's the origins of this Heem character you've got?
Heem? Okay, so I'm going to tell y'all. Heem is like a mentality. So when I say, oh, I'm Heem, it's mean I'm him. Like I'm the one that's gonna come, and I'm really him. So being Heem is a mentality. It's not really a person. It's really a mentality you got to have every day. When you walk into the field, you walk into your house, you walk into, you know, anywhere you go in life. You got to be Heem, you got to be him. It's all mentality.
When did that thought process start for you?
Just, you know, being around my little brother, Justin Flowe, and everything, and just, we always want to have a mentality by ourselves when we go do stuff and just everything we do. Because here, everything you do is how you do everything. So that's how, me and my brother, Heem was the biggest thing for us because we want to always bring that mentality that we're going to be him and we're going to bring that energy.
Other than your brother, is there someone specifically that you feel like really embraces that mentality on this team?
Noah Sewell. Noah Sewell always brings it, always has energy, always brings passion, and Noah Sewell is he's a guy, you know, and we always feed off each other.
Alex Bales was saying you were asking him quite a bit about the playoff and what that experience was like. Why are you thinking in those terms? I'm not saying like not because you couldn't go to the playoff, Justin, but because why were you seeking out him to ask about that so early on?
Can you say that again, boss?
You were talking to Alex Bales about his experience at the playoff at Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want to ask him that so early? Like, why did you seek him out to get that? What is it about? You want to hear people's experiences with that?
You know, just me and Alex are really cool teammates, cool friends, and everything. So I was just really wondering how that experience was and everything. And you know, he told me it was amazing. So we're looking to do the same thing.
You have the NFL tattoo on your hand. When did you get that? What's kind of the story behind that?
I got this right before fall camp because
this year?
Yes, sir. I really want to just have it as motivation because after having all those big season-ending injuries, it's so easy to stop and to not keep going. So I just got it to make me realize that this is the mission and I got to keep going.
We got 10 more days until kickoff. So what are you looking for in these next 10 days that's really going to give you the confidence to go to Atlanta and really be ready to perform?
Really just not missing a day and just taking every day as the game's going to be tomorrow. So just going hard every day and just not missing nothing because if you miss a day, that can really bring you down for the game day. So always going hard every day.
And that mentality for fall camp, how do you feel like you've improved so far?
I feel like I improved tremendously, you know, just with my mindset and just with preparation and just the way I'm just going about my days and everything. I feel good, and we feel good, ready for this game. And my team, we look good, and, you know, we're going to keep going.
Justin Flowe looks like he is ready for the season to start. Can't you just tell with the way he moves around during his interview that he's ready to hit the grass and hit somebody? I am so excited to see Justin Flowe on the field this year, hopefully next to Noah Sewell, behind Brandon Dorlus. This defense, I think, could be quite special this year. Justin Flowe is a big reason why. We'll get a break. Joey Mack is going to join us. We'll have some more information about the Autzen shuttles. I see some questions coming up on our Facebook live stream. We'll get to that after this. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to Duck Insider. We're in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider is always brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. You're giving me a face. Joey Mack is on the show.
Did I give him a face?
That was a face.
I don't think I gave him a face.
Let me reenact.
Do we have replay? Okay. We'll have to do that later. I don't think I gave you a face. I was just smiling at you.
That's not a smile.
Is my resting face like a face?
I think it was a face.
I think we're gonna have to go back to the replay.
We'll get the replay. Joey, it is astonishing to me. By the way, it's great to see you.
I was gonna say it's great. Yeah, it's astonishing. You're making me a face. Also, welcome back. Thanks for being here, Jordan.
About to get to that.
Jordan, thanks for doing the show for me for the last
you're
couple
welcome.
weeks and for the next month or so.
Yeah,
it's been great. But preseason special tonight, so I have come out of leave, I guess.
Leave?
Paternity leave?
Yeah.
I don't know. Preseason special tonight, so I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a
and
big
we're
day.
happy to have you. By the way, you didn't let me finish my thought.
I think he was lying there.
When I started the first clause of that sentence, when I said, it is astonishing to me.
Oh, okay.
You didn't let me say the next clause of the sentence, which was, it is astonishing to me that you have fewer bags under your eyes than me right now. I think it's honestly your superpower that you're dealing with.
I don't think you have bags under your eyes, do I?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think you do.
That.
I don't think you do either, though.
Don't do that ever again. Our radio audience, they're okay, but the people watching live, you just opened up.
But I have a face for radio. That's not changed in fatherhood.
That's true. Anyway, what I was trying to say, what I was trying to do.
Did you see that subtle agreement? Okay, continue.
I was trying to compliment you and say, hey, you're balancing a lot right now. We appreciate you being here. And how are things going at home?
Things are good. Yeah, I've just tried to channel my inner Matt Ulmer for everybody today. I really missed Matt. It just hasn't been the same, not, having things get busted every week by him. So, Coach, if you're watching, I hope that you've been able to take it out on Jordan, and maybe then things will be better.
He's actually been a lot kinder to me than he has been to you.
Is that true? Is that true? So I only see what happens on the air, right, when I'm watching the show from home.
Coach Ulmer is one of the greatest guys in the industry.
Which is why it's so easy for me and him to do what we do that you've all seen. But I didn't know, was he being to you off the air as he is on the air.
Well, I'm
looking out for your well-being.
Here's honestly what I think. You have a longer relationship than
the
relationship I have with Coach Ulmer. I never called Oregon volleyball, which many sports directors for KWVA get to do. It's one
I
of
honestly forgot about that.
One of my big regrets, not getting to form that relationship with Coach Ulmer. So I think it takes a little time for him to start hazing you. He's very nice at the beginning. Then there's that hazing period. I think you might be still in that hazing period with Coach Ulmer. Do you disagree?
I don't think for most people there is a hazing period. I actually think that it was just me.
Just you? Interesting.
What does Ryan Milano think?
Ryan,
he's great with him. See, I think it's just me. I think it's just he and I just are.
Yeah, you guys are tight. But we have done your handshake. We have continued that tradition on the show.
Good. I think he and I are just both neutrons, if you want to get a little sciencey here.
I don't, but what does that mean?
It's like, opposites attract, right? So you get like the proton and the electron, and then the neutron is the center of the atom, and, okay. I lost you.
You lost me.
The point is that I think we're both neutrons, so we're just like neutral toward each other.
Okay.
There's no like attraction or, magnetism that pushes us apart. We just are like constantly there. Scott gets it. I'm glad Scott gets it. See, this is why Scott and I work together so well. What do you want to talk to me about? Why am I on the show right now?
Well, you're on the show because I want your thoughts when you're separated from the program. Maybe that gives you a different perspective than you have usually. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
I do want to say to you, just because this is a catch-up for us.
Okay.
About once or twice a day, somebody barges in here. They have a message for you.
Oh, no.
They try to say kind things to you. Some have tried to give you gifts, for example.
Or have given me work to do.
Or maybe.
Then I get the follow-up email saying, missed you in the studio.
Oh, so you have heard. Okay, so
I don't know. I've heard from some people.
I was just trying to go through some order of business with you, let you know that people have been thinking about you and leaving things for you. And
I appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Now we can talk about Oregon football because we're about 10 days away from the season. You haven't necessarily been around the program as much as a normal year, but you still, I imagine, have been following along, listening to some of those interviews.
All of them.
All of the interviews.
Yeah.
So let me start broad with you. What are some of your takeaways from the last couple weeks or so of Oregon football interviews?
Well, first, I was at the scrimmage on Saturday, and anytime I get the opportunity to sit in the broadcast booth and watch football of any kind, or even on TV for that matter, when I get a chance to watch anything with Jorgie, I always learn something. So sitting in the scrimmage and watching it with Jorgie was awesome. So my big takeaway from that is Jorgie thinks that there's a lot of speed and a lot of athleticism on the team. And it's so interesting, like, for someone like me who played football but not at the level Jorgie did and doesn't know as much about it as he does, he can watch a scrimmage and be like, that guy is going to be really good.
Yeah. It's amazing watching it with him. It was my first time watching a game with him. He picks up 5 or 6 more things per play than the average person.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll sit there and be like, God, I really noticed that one thing. And then Jorgie's like, oh, I noticed that too. And you're like, yes, like I got one.
It happens like once or twice a scrimmage that you see the same thing
exactly.
as Jorgie.
And then he'll be like, and this and this and this on that same play. And then you look at him and you're just like, can I see a replay, please? Thank you. I think that – what are my takeaways from interviews? I agree with what you and Rob were talking about. I really liked listening to Coach Mehringer. I thought he was just like so tactful with speaking about difficult subjects, right, with Spencer Webb and everything else. And then I also thought that the tight end position as a whole was a piece of strength or a point of strength coming into the season. I think they have a lot of pieces in that room. I think that, like, Maliki Matavao, listening to him speak this week, I thought was kind of cool just hearing him talk about the versatility of the position because, to me, maybe more so than any other position in football, I think the tight end has changed the most in the last 15 years. Oregon's got a lot of examples of how the changing tight end position, I think, is really, really successful, and I hope – at least that comes to fruition with guys like Terrence Ferguson, guys like Maliki Matavao. And then I will say I thought it was cool hearing Rob say just last segment that he thought Patrick Herbert kind of took that step forward because, if you have depth in those positions, it wouldn't. I mean, shoot, maybe we will see a 14 personnel play at the end of the year. Like, why not? But Coach Mehringer, I think, was kind of joking when he said that. But yeah, I think the tight ends are a strength. I don't know. I'm interested to see where things go.
Talk about somebody who's taken advantage of strength and conditioning here at the University of
You?
Oregon. Definitely not me. I was struggling holding the mic today.
Did you I tried to give him a compliment.
Hold that thought, Joey. We do have to get one more break in, and then I want your final thoughts on some things, some information, because you're a good source of that. We'll get a break on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider in the Country Financial Studio, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. We have an important piece of business in one moment. Those will be baby pictures. I did want to get to a couple fan questions. As far as I've heard, Fan Day, I haven't heard any information about Fan Day.
Yeah, me neither. I do not think that a Fan Day, at least as it was pre-pandemic, is in the plan. That's at least my limited knowledge at the moment.
And it seems like Autzen Shuttles, there is information on the Go Ducks
website. There is information for Autzen Shuttles. I know somebody asked about that. There is information on GoDucks.com. And as far as I know, for the most part, nothing is really changing in terms of how Autzen Shuttles are operating.
Okay, now the kicker, as they like to say in the news industry.
Yeah, I just taught Jordan that, everybody. How about that?
How about that?
Does anybody else
what you have to say?
Ryan, did you know what that was? The kicker? Oh. I don't know if anybody could hear what he just said. Could you put him on the air, Scott?
Is there a flag here
That
anywhere?
was great.
Flag
yeah,
on
that
the
was
play
great.
No, throw the flag on yourself.
Can I have the flag, please? Thank you.
That was interference.
Thank you. So, can you repeat what you said for the people in the back?
I've been to journalism classes much more recently than Jordan has, so it's a lot more fresh in my brain. I got a lot more knowledge of it.
I did well in journalism school.
You did. That's why you're here.
Yeah, I did okay. So I don't know why I'm,
Good. Well, on that note, then,
getting attacked.
I threw the
here.
flag at Ryan. Nobody else.
I'm a pretty fragile guy, Something like that gets to me. I'm going to think about that for the rest of the day.
No, you won't. You'll be like, oh, yeah, I know what it is now, the kicker. Yeah, in the news industry, you call it the kicker. It's like the funny thing or the fun thing at the end of a broadcast. So everybody's been asking me, like, baby pictures? And I'm like,
we got them.
Yeah, I took a lot of them. Which ones do you want to see? Well, there was one in particular for this audience that people will love. Well, actually, two in particular for this audience that people will love. Okay, so for the radio audience, you're just going to have to bear with us as Ryan shows pictures here. I'm going to do play-by-play for you because I have a blanket from my sophomore year of college that says KWVA wrapped up in the music. And it's an awesome blanket, guys. This has been on my couch for years. So I sent this to all of my KWVA colleagues and was like, start 'em young. And I got to say, I am so proud of the fact that, one, that blanket still exists, and two, that it is now the kids' blanket. So, yeah, KWVA, that's where everything really started here for me. I have often credited KWVA as the reason that I have the job that I have now. I think that Jordan would agree that it is a big reason why he has the job that he has now. And Ryan Milano, running the director's chair today, Scott Phillips, has kindly taken the, I guess, side saddle. Are you riding side seat, like sidecar in the motorcycle today? That's good. Yeah, train him up. Ryan is the current sports director at KWVA. So we really have multiple generations of KWVA actually running the show today. That's a student radio station at the U of O, if you didn't know that.
They do a good job.
They do. One of our former colleagues on my Instagram post about this said, decent station, good music. But yeah, so I thought that was particularly cool for this particular audience that now I can give him that. And then, of course, one of my friends, love her to death, she really embraced the whole idea that we're calling the kid Baby Mac. And so she bought us a onesie that says Baby Mac on it. And I cannot help but think that this poor kid, especially with me as his father, is never going to be able to outgrow that nickname. And when he's like 18, his friends in high school are going to call him Baby Mac, and it's going to be ironic because he'll be not a baby
That
anymore.
is unless you have other kids. Then
True.
The Baby Mac nickname will be passed on. Even more than the onesie there, you could tell that that's a Mac because of the duck socks.
Yes.
I mean, talk about starting them young.
Yes, so shout out to, I believe, partially the sponsorship office here at Oregon Sports Properties, and the communications office, and you, if I remember correctly. They got us a pack of baby socks to match my basketball-wearing socks that are like crazy duck socks. So he has some of those. So, yeah, there's your baby update. Did I miss anything?
No, I think we got to all of it.
Great. Preseason special tonight, everybody. Oregon football social media across the Oregon Sports Network can be fun.
7 p.m., that's right?
Yeah.
Go Ducks. Woo!
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On